Fibers are all going parallel?
Yes.
Yes, they're all going the same direction. Well, like I say, there's a lot of folks that still use parting combs. They're relatively inexpensive. They don't take up a lot of space in your house and everything.
Yeah.
But here where we make a lot of bats, we use this. And it does the same thing, except it puts it onto a drum. See, it's still got these little pricklies?
Yes.
And they're all across there. And it pulls the wool in there.
It keeps them going the same direction.
Yeah.
Instead of doing it by hand, you've got a machine. It's okay.
Put your hand there and I'll show you. I just feed it in here. It lines up on that big drum. And a lot of the little seeds and stuff get on this little drum.
Yes.
And we don't use that. So once this is full, when we pull it off, this is what you get. And that's what's called a bat.
That's a bat. Gotcha.
And you know, like in quilts nowadays, the batting inside is little cotton or polyester batting. Well, originally they used these bats for batting in quilts.
Nice.
So you can imagine how warm and lofty a quilt would be full of these.
Yes.
Put your arms up like mine.
So I'm like,
You can't feel it, can you?
It's like a cloud, isn't it?
it is.
Uh-huh.
It's too cloud I haven't felt.
You can see how.
Wow. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
So now, once you get it in this shape, then you can do something with it. You can pull it into little strips and spin it with a spinning wheel. Or
Does it stretch a little?
does it stretch?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
And if you put warm water on this, warm soapy water,
Yes.
and provide a lot of friction, it becomes felt.
Felt.
And that's how you make felt. And then, you see that shawl over there with the stars on it?
Yeah.
That's a felted shawl.
That's a felted shawl.
And it was 3 of these bats thick when I started out. And you roll it and roll it. You roll it up actually to provide the friction, and it compacts down, and now it's about that thick. But you pull and pull on it, and you can't pull it apart.
Wow.
And like the peoples in Mongolia, they make their yurts and out of it.
Yes.
Yurts. Yeah. And their clothing and their boots and
Oh, that's just,
hats.
you just touched on something, but
But they, you know, they made everything out of felted wool. Although their homes, their yurts were, you know, this thick.
Yeah.
yes, yes.
And it'd keep them cool in the summer because it would shade out the heat and then keep them warm.
Insulate it. It was an insulator.
Yeah, wool's a great insulator.
Yes, it is. And it can get wet and still be warm.
Right, right.
Yes. Now this here, this pink wool, is this the color from? Has this been dyed?
Yeah,
This
dyed it.
This dyed. Okay.
Just like
Okay.
this alpaca
Yes.
died the other day.
Okay.
And you've got a pretty red.
Well, you know we're Hebrews, so you are touching in an area of our culture that we.
Yeah, they were a great.
Yes,
culture.
we are. And so that's part of the reason that brought us here.
Oh, well, great. Well, Dr. Dickinson, she goes all over the world doing mission trips and goes to places where there are actual herding cultures
Yes.
and helps set up wool mills with all the hand equipment. And,
Really?
yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what this place supports. That's why we're here, is to support that mission.
The missions.
And she goes all over the world. Every summer she'll go to usually a third world country, some little isolated village.
Yes.
And set up a wool mill. Or I remember when they were in Africa one time, 3 or 4 years ago, they got 4 or 5 sheep together
Yeah.
and gave them, and they had to build a little barn to put them in at night because, you know, things are so bad down there that people steal them just to eat them at night if they can keep them in. So they were using them for fiber.
Yeah.
So that's, and this, It's an old loom from probably around the turn of the century.
What's your name, babe?
The late 1800s.
The late
early
eight-
1900s.
Late to early 1800s and 1900s.
And the originator of this was a man from France named Louis Jacquard, and that was in like 1800.
Okay.
And the thing that's so unique about it is the first data memory machine.
Wow.
Because you know how a player piano works?
Yes, I do.
Okay, it's got the holes and the little pins that the holes
Yes.
go through. Well, this is our paper for this, like on a player piano.
Oh,
And
I
these are
see the
and
pins.
These would be the holes.
Yes.
These little pins would be like the holes.
Yes, it's a
So-
card reader.
Yeah, when it goes through there, it tells which of these pedals to go up and down and for how long, and
And it picks the patterns.
yeah, and you can change your pattern
Oh, it's really
by
cool.
just moving these pins around instead of having some little child under there moving things around. You know, Industrial Revolution, that's what they did.
This is
And,
cool.
So that's
Yeah, how you liking it?
I love it.
If you've ever
Mr.
heard,
Miss Sherry over there and Rivka had to bring me out here, and we're doing our unleavened feast week. So this is, if you know anything about Pesach or Passover, you know, we do the lamb,
right?
and then we do unleavened bread, and we're in our unleavened bread week. So I'm actually from out of town, and they brought me in here to show me all this today, and I'm just like, we're Hebrews, so this is part of our culture, and watching this is good.
Great. Where are you from?
I just bought land in Florida, but I'm originally from Arkansas,
Oh, okay.
but I'm headed back to Florida by the end of the week. So the next machine, what does it do?
Well, they're all looms.
They're all
Just
looms.
kind of different variations
Oh,
on this
sorry.
one. And some people donated these from Philadelphia,
Uh-huh.
and our guys went back there and picked them up on trailer and brought them back. But back before electricity, all the mills were on rivers, you know, because they used
Yes.
water power. And
Yes.
that's what these were. And sometime probably the teens, 20s, somebody put a little old electric motor on
An electric generator.
them. And you can see that one down there.
Uh-huh.
We replace this one because we'd like to get this one going eventually if we can.
So are any of these functional right now?
No.
Okay.
And they didn't come with directions.
And they didn't come with directions. Hey, nothing comes with directions much, does it?
Yeah, these got a lot more moving parts. But we hope that one day, you know, get
But once you do understand how to get these up and running, but you will know how to operate them a little better. I mean, of course, there'll be some learning along the way,
there will be.
a little tedious stuff. And are you excited?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun to-
How long have you been doing this?
Well, I've worked here 6 years.
Okay.
I've always done fiber arts since I was a child.
Okay.
I
Okay.
was messing with fiber and doing things with it.
Yes.
This is so wonderful. You let people come in and you tell them.
No, this is great.
We're about.
Wonderful.
Tell me about the handmade ankle loom.
Well, it's another small loom that they use down in South America mostly.
Uh-huh.
That's where it came from. And you can see here where they've been weaving across,
Yes.
and it goes down. And whenever you get enough, then you wind it, and all of this all kind of goes together at once, so you can get more of the yarn down here.
This is
And then when you
something.
weave it all the way up to here, then you slide it all around,
Wow.
and it's kind of, they
'Cause-
make mostly little straps with it.
Okay, because you know the ephod, the priest garment, was made of wool, and
Well, you know, Dr. Dickinson did some research.
yes,
And what she was able to find is this particular researcher thought that the temple veil was made out of
wool.
felted wool,
Yeah.
like 3 foot thick felted wool, like that shawl over there, but huge.
Real thick.
Yeah.
And nothing could tear that apart. So you can see why those priests are so freaked out when
Yeah.
it ripped from top
When it
down.
ripped the veil.
Yeah, that, you know, it was, you know, we hear veil, we think of some little wispy piece of
Yeah.
fabric or something, you know, that, you know, we can't appreciate what a miracle that was and how amazed they were, awestruck that that could happen.
Yes, because the high priest ripped his veil when the veil ripped. And then he said, well, there's Yahusha, your high priest, when he was being hung. And when that hour came, the high priest ripped his veil, which gave him his authority up to our Messiah, our Mashiach. So it's, there's a lot behind all that. And the veil, the high priest at the time, his garment was wool. So, like now, I'm wearing linen, okay, linen or cotton, or I wear wool. So there's certain fabrics through our culture that we also wear, And did you realize? I don't know if you know or not, that there is a energy force that goes through linen and cotton. You might want to research this, but I'm going to tell you. And you know how regular electricity will go in one direction? This energy force goes the opposite around our bodies. And so this helps generate a frequency and understanding of our culture, of our language, because even our Hebrew alphabet is written backwards. It goes the opposite direction of English. So there's a frequency of our learning and our skills that go with all this too, that you probably really never realized.
No.
Yes, and so I'm trying to educate you a little bit more in Sumerius. This is really cool, huh?
Pretty much all cotton.
Well, exactly. Yeah. And linen, linen for me, it's real cool in the summer, even long sleeve shirts and things. But wool, the only thing that we weren't supposed to do, and we're not supposed to do, is mix the linen with the wool being wound together. We could have linen pants and a wool top, but they could not be mended, spun together. Yes. Yeah.
That's something that Dr. Dickinson has talked about in the Bible, and we don't add any other kind of fibers.
Fabrics or anything else with it.
We could, but we don't.
Yeah, but you don't, and that's wonderful. That's no mixing, no blending.
Right.
That's good.
And there's very few people nowadays that do just all wool.
Right.
Exactly, there is. There is.
Most people blend a little silk or all kinds of stuff in with their wool.
So let me ask you about the dyes that you use. What are those?
Well,
Are those biblical?
Probably not.
Okay.
We are the North American distributor for a company out of Australia.
Okay.
Australians know a lot about wool.
Yes, they do.
And it's a wool that they make down there that we sell here and that we use. And we like it because it's simple to use and it's very fast. The dye stays in the wool. You can't wash it out. And that's important in dyeing wool.
Yes. There were certain snails and certain animals, crustaceans and things that had certain dyes that they made. Just like my Zizit, that blue dye right there was actually a snail dye.
Yeah. Is it that cochineal?
Yes. Yeah. So you're familiar with that a little bit.
Yes, some natural dye.
Yes.
We just don't have the time here to do natural dye.
I understand.
But there's a lot of people who do.
Yes.
It's great.
And that's why, being the Hebraic culture that we are, that's why I was asking about your dyes, the different dyes and things, what y'all might have been using. Maybe even if that blue would have been some of that natural dye that we use in our culture. I didn't know.
Yeah. No, it's not. They're industrial dyes, but I'd like to do more in natural dyes.
Sure.
We have a lot of walnuts on our property, walnut trees, and it makes a pretty brown.
Yeah.
The golden
berries make a lot of good dyes.
Yeah.
Some berries are beautiful dyes,
Berries make a nice color. Take the time to do that. End of the summer, harvest some berries and flowers and different things.
Yeah, we were just out eating flowers a while ago.
You were? What were you eating?
Sherry, what flowers were we eating earlier? Redbud flowers.
Oh yeah, I like to put those on salad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the green onions are, it's about the end of them, but
yeah.
I dig green onions every year. And we've been out trying to harvest morel mushrooms.
Morels are very good.
that our armadillos get to them.
They get them before you can? Yeah. Yeah. So these machines here, I mean, y'all are really trying to bring them back to life again. How close are y'all to having the machines back operating? Do you know?
No.
You don't know.
It just, we kind of go in spurts and having time to mess with it. You know?
Y'all try to do the work yourself?
Yeah.
Or do y'all bring people in?
Well, no, we've been trying to figure it out ourselves.
Well, that's okay. That's
We
good.
don't really know anybody that knows anything about it.
Well, that's... Mm-hmm. Well, but that's okay.
4 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Picking it means she's taking out the solids as much as possible.
It's like fluffing it up.
And yeah, and fluffing it up.
Because this was picking
Oh
before we
yeah,
got
Okay.
that.
Let me come over here. Now explain to me what you're doing here again.
But first, tell them what you did to get to this point.
Yeah, so we get raw fleece that was sheared off sheep,
Yes.
and then
It's
we
dirty.
wash it.
You wash it.
Yeah, we skirt it.
Just
wash
with
it,
water?
tumble it.
And some
Yeah, and
natural
some-
soap.
Natural soap.
Yeah, and then we put it through a dishwasher after we separate the pieces a little bit, just get it even more clean. And then it's spun in a panda, which gets more water out, and then we take that and put it on a drying rack. And when it's done drying, then we take it in here and we process it further by like picking it. So this was wool that was dyed last
Yes.
week.
And so then y'all allow the dye to dry too.
Yeah, no, it's all the same process.
All
Yeah,
same process.
basically.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And so then the next step after it's all dried, then you would pick it on this thing.
It's called a cradle
Come over
pick
here. Come over here and get a better side view of it.
or a swing pick.
And it's all fluffy like cotton candy.
It's like cotton candy.
Just don't eat it.
And so this helps string it apart, make it fluffy, more manageable,
Yes.
and then it'll string out better.
Opens up the fiber.
It opens the fibers. Okay.
Where it's a lot nicer and fluffier when you card it.
Yeah. And
So
if you get more of the dirt or
Is that what you're
the
saying?
like hay
Oh,
pieces
all
that
the-
we
yes.
find
The, It fluff up on the carder better.
Oh, okay, okay. I
Yeah,
see what
it's
you mean.
fluffier then.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh,
wow.
Still yet, in Navajo country, this is how they,
right, right. I bet the Amish sit around all day doing that, don't they?
I don't know about Amish. I just know about Navajos. I used to live out there.
Yeah, I have an aunt that's full-blood Navajo. She was from the reservation,
Uh-huh.
and she was adopted. And yeah, she's really awesome. Her sister used to do the blankets, and she did the sand paintings.
No.
Yeah, she's a pretty neat woman.
Well, this
Really
is
nice
really
lady.
nice.
Painting.
And
Then what do you do after that?
yes.
So after I have a pretty full
After she gets
box here,
done.
we'll take it and we'll card it and make it in bats. So
Oh, then you do the bats like she was explaining to me a while ago.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This process over here is before this process.
This
What-
process is first.
First,
Then
second. Okay.
Then that.
These are the same things. Mine's
Oh,
electric
that's
and
right,
this
that's
one's
right, I
hand
forgot.
pressed.
Okay. So y'all are both doing the same job
Yeah.
today.
We're both
That's
making bats
yeah,
today.
and then
Okay.
when a bat is done, it looks kind of like this.
It's a fluffy cloud.
Because tomorrow
Do-
we're going to
She let us hold
felt.
it.
We're going to make a saddle pad. for
Yes.
horse.
Yes.
And so we need, there are 7 bats tall starting out and 3 bats wide.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
once we've got it compacted down, roll it up, then it's about that big.
Wow. That's a lot of wool just for a
Yeah.
little horse blanket.
Yeah.
Can you
Thank you,
explain and demonstrate the spindle?
Yes, spin wheel?
Yes, spin wheel, please.
Yeah. Y'all can sit over on that bench if you
You
want.
can tell how naive we are. We don't have any idea what we're doing. We're just here to learn. We're
It's
fascinated.
kind of an unusual thing. Not too many people know much about it.
Yes. That's
Well, I want to know.
I only
I want to know.
about the story of Rumpelstiltskin.
That's what I was going to say, but I wasn't going to say that. I'll let you do that. I'll let you say that. But wait, Rivka. This is our friend, our Miss Rivka. She brought me out here today. We all come out here to learn together.
Yeah. Well, before they ever had a spinning wheel, they had a drop spindle.
Okay.
And this is like really, really old technology. Are you familiar with the Proverbs 31 woman?
Yes, I am, very much so.
Toward the end of that chapter, it talks about she holds the spindle.
She does hold the
And
spindle.
this is what it's talking about.
That's right.
She was spinning yarn to make fabric
Flax.
for her family.
She was doing flax.
She could have been,
Yeah, any kind of yarn.
but more
Whether it
likely
was
she was
flax
probably
or
using
wool or
lamb's wool.
whichever they had.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I say, it's very simple. You spin this like a top, and the twist goes up into the fiber.
This is neat. I like this.
I knew you would.
Oh, you know.
And you see this in any kind of medieval art that has women in it. And most people don't realize it because their spindles didn't have this round part on it. It had a little bit of a bulb here, and they spun down here beside their knee. So to people that don't realize it, they just think they're holding a stick down here or something.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so if you look at almost any medieval art, if there's women around, one of them at least has got a spindle in their hand spinning, because they did it all the time.
They had to. I
Yeah,
bet.
you had to have any clothes.
Yeah.
So whenever it gets so long you can't reach, you have to store your yarn.
You just spin it
wind
and
it
wind it up.
Yeah. So you have your own little bobbin of yarn.
Wow.
And
You might
when
wanna
I
do it.
when I do this, you see I'm pulling the fiber down. That's
Yes.
called drafting.
Drafting.
And that's what determines how thick or thin your yarn's going to be.
Okay.
Because I could put this whole thing in there, and it would be a nice big bulky yarn.
Oh. And they do that on purpose, though. They
Uh-huh.
make different
Oh, yeah.
sizes like that. Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Because this might, what I've got on here now would be nice for like a
Real small.
yeah, thin
Crocheted
and fine.
knit, yeah.
Mhm. And then if I made this bulky yarn, it might make a nice big Norwegian fisherman sweater or something.
Uh-huh.
So eventually, hundreds of years later, somebody invented a spinning wheel, and it's like this, only this is on its side.
I
That's what
got
this
you.
is.
I got you.
Okay. And your foot pedals it and gets it to going.
To make them one of those. I see that PVC.
And so, you know, it's a lot faster. You don't have to keep stopping to
You can
spin
probably
it.
control your thickness too a little bit better, can't you?
Well, I can.
Yeah.
You know, there's people who spin on those spindles nowadays all the time. That's all they do. And they can make the finest, most beautiful
Really.
yarn around. It's all
Yeah.
just what you're used to, you
Yeah,
know, what
yeah.
you use.
I love a rainbow watch.
I think for me, I'd have to do that, what you're doing there, instead of that spindle. I don't know if I could do that. But I got arthritic hands, so.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
spinning nowadays is a very fun and relaxing hobby.
Oh, it would be very relaxing to sit in a chair and just spin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Better than going out and plowing the field.
Fibers have different feels too to make that,
Oh, yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah, even just different breeds of sheep.
But the man's the shepherd.
Could you hear that? Even different breeds of sheep wool is different in your hands doing that.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just got some yak wool the other day
Really?
from the Himalayas. Yeah, it was really cool. It wasn't very big.
Be warm.
Yeah, that's why I got it to intertwine with wool to make some gloves and things that are, you know, for the bad winters when we got them.
Nice. Well, the only time that you do have to stop using a spinning wheel is, I don't really need to stop yet, but see how it's winding the yarn right here?
Mhm.
Well, I let that build up a little bit more, and then I'll move it to the next hook.
And then it'll
wind
put up
here.
another spot.
Yeah, and so you just gradually go back and forth like that to make a balanced bobbin of yarn.
And how much yarn would that hold? About how many yards of what?
Yeah.
About the thickness that you're spinning?
The thickness that I'm spinning,
Yeah.
They go by ounces. They weigh it.
Yeah, we weigh out ahead of time, but this thickness, if you spun it to here, single ply, just like this,
Yeah.
would be several hundred yards.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly, though,
Wow.
we make double ply yarn, which is when you ply it back on itself
Mm-hmm.
like that, and it's stronger,
Right.
and just depends on how thick you want it, and it behaves differently whenever you're knitting it or
Mhm.
crocheting it.
Right.
You want a single ply like this for whenever you're weaving for the warp.
Right. Right.
Well, if you did a double ply, this full of double ply, oh gosh, that would be at least probably 300 or 400 yards.
Wow.
I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you spin 2 of these bobbins full.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got a little rack that's got 2 little pieces of wood stick up that this bobbin will fit down on.
Mm-hmm.
And you get the 2 bobbins there, and then you spin them on a third one to ply them. And of course, you have to spin them the opposite way,
Right.
plying. That
So
you
they
spun
won't
them. Yeah, so they
won't
don't
unwind.
unwind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
So is this a labor of love, or is it pretty costly? I mean, when you get done with the product, is it really expensive, or is it reasonable, or
When you
know what I
sell
mean?
it,
Yeah, I
the
mean,
yarn?
yeah, like if a person was gonna try to supplement their income or something, you know, would they be able to do that with that, or is it more like a labor of love where you just don't really get paid for
well,
your
there's a
time?
lot of people that sell yarn,
Just
and
curious.
especially a lot of what you call art yarn,
Mhm.
which has all kinds of other stuff in it, and different colors. And
Yeah.
it's used for weaving a lot. And it depends on what, you can do pretty good if you have sheep or a way to get wool fairly cheaply.
Mm-hmm.
And you can spend quite a bit and sell quite a bit.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know.
And different
I
sheep.
didn't know how it went that way, you know, for the marketing part of it.
Yeah.
That's
There's a
interesting.
lot of people, that spin and sell their yarn on Etsy.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
It just depends, if you have a good resource for
Right.
wool,
Right.
where you're not paying a whole lot of money.
And different sheep produce different thicknesses or qualities of wool also, don't they?
Yeah,
And you get a different amount from different kinds of sheep.
that's right.
Yes.
Okay, so can you,
Icelandic, they grow this long.
yeah.
Right.
Others grow short. So
Can you tell the difference between that sheep's wool that are raised with like organic, holistic ways versus commercial junk they put in them?
the thing that changes the property of the wool more than anything is how you process it.
Oh, really?
Hand processing like we do here, you don't get that very often.
Imagine.
It doesn't strip away the softness
Mhm.
and the crimp, which is the bounce